Okay, so 6 years ago to this day, I got my very first guitar. I don't know if anybody can see it. It's this one right behind me. It's a red Fender Stratocaster. It's a Squire edition. Super proud of it. I'm basically going to talk about my inspiration throughout the last 6 years, why I love playing guitar, what it means to me, that sort of stuff. When it came to why I wanted to learn to play guitar, I'll give you the backstory a little bit. When I was little and I was growing up, I could always remember music playing somewhere. It didn't really matter where it was, whether it was coming from radio or whether it was just something we were listening to in the car. We used to watch the CMT Top 20 countdowns. I can remember being little, having vivid memories of music videos from certain artists. And I just knew that I wanted music to be a part of my life. And I got so caught up in music growing up. I can specifically remember what inspired me was playing basketball outside. My father would invite his friends over, and there was this one time he invited his friend over, and they had the garage door open. They're sitting there listening to the Black album by Metallica from 1990 or 1991, and they were listening to things like Enter Sandman or Wherever I May Roam or Nothing Else Matters, and I can just specifically remember those kinds of songs from just when I was at a really young age. So I'd always wanted to play guitar. I didn't really know what that was going to mean, whether it was going to happen, how it was going to happen. And I got to a certain point where about 5 years later down the road, I had saved up enough money, because guitars are not cheap whatsoever, especially if you want an instrument that's really good, really high quality. I ended up buying the standard starter pack, which was my Strat, a Fender frontman amp, and I was just determined to go play. The first song I ever wanted to learn how to play was Thunderstruck by AC/DC, so I spent a lot of time learning that song, trying to teach others that song. That was the first YouTube video I ever made. You guys can go find it. There's a lesson for me trying to teach people how to play Thunderstruck by AC/DC when I was at a very beginner level, and it's absolutely terrible and embarrassing, but it's there and you can find it. What ended up happening was I got through this stage of music. Now I'm through this stage, but I was so influenced by classic rock, 90s, 80s metal. And I'd always just wanted to play. So got my guitar, learned Thunderstruck, and I started teaching myself because I didn't have enough money to pay for lessons, right? But YouTube was my best friend. Any guitarist out there who was learning or starting to learn, they say you can't learn unless you take lessons. Don't listen to that. You can find the lessons that people would give you on YouTube for free. I learned so many classic rock riffs that ended up starting to develop into one another, and I noticed the patterns between the different songs. And by the time you knew it, I knew power chords, and I knew how to play melodic stuff, and I knew my first few scales. And is just a life-changing thing to think that I was able to use my God-given ability to be hands-on, be a hands-on learner, and take that and turn it into music. And guitar has always inspired me to do that. There's never anything that has just inspired me to just sit down and do one thing at a time, just like guitar has. And I'm at the point now where, if I'm feeling bummed out or I'm having a rough day or whatever the case is, if I'm stressed, if I'm angry, I will go play guitar until I can just calm down, kind of rejuvenate myself. Kirk Hammett, guitarist from Metallica, totally hit the nail on the head when he said, this totally applies to me. Guitar just defines myself to myself. It's an extension of me. It's beyond playing it, and I absolutely love expressing myself through the music. Now, I'm at the point where what has inspired me has been different rock bands, of course, my religious views. I have loved playing in my church, my local church. I'm part of a worship team. It's been awesome to see the support of everybody throughout that, from my worship leader letting me play up there, play melodic stuff by ear when I didn't know how to play a single chord. And I feel like if it wasn't for her, I would be very different as far as the type of guitarist I am. So I guess that's just an extension, and thank you to you, Jesse. I really appreciate everything you've let me do. She gave me a lot of wiggle room, and it gave me a lot of room to play, to see what it was like to play in an environment with an audience, rather than teaching yourself how to play in a bedroom, right? It taught me a lot about self-motivation too, of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to mess this up in front of all of these people, and perseverance, struggling. And then eventually I learned how to play every single chord in the book, and it was absolutely amazing how it all tied together, right? And then before you know it, I had to have another guitar, and then I had to have another guitar, and then I had to have another guitar. And I think now I'm at the point where I have such an awesome collection, but my collection isn't based off my addiction, it's based off of my relationship with every instrument that I have. And I think there's something beyond just having a physical instrument to play that looks cool, feels cool. There's the memories of my first guitar, getting my first acoustic guitar, right? Instruments that have been passed down through my family, certain instruments that played certain genres of music better, because believe it or not, guitars do play different genres better due to the specs, the pickups, the configurations, the style of guitar, whatever the case is. For those of you who don't know, you can have multiple different types of guitars, have them in different tuning. That was always my excuse to my parents whenever they said, do you really need that many guitars? Do you need to bring that many guitars when you play? And I say, well, these are in different tuning, but they were not at all. And so it's been super pivotal for me as far as like my connection with my instruments. And I draw my inspiration, like I say, from classic artists in church. I can remember watching videos of full range concerts at a time, and I'd watch them from the beginning to the end on YouTube, right? This is how addicted I was to like listening to the music and listening to the guitar. Seth Morrison from Skillet, he's like one of my top guitar players, one of my favorite guitar players, right? And he has an insane ability. I know so much band history. Music has just been an extension of myself, like I said, and a part of me. And I'm super thankful to God for all of that. He gets all the credit. It's not me. It's one of my gifts that I've been given, and I can only just want to drive that further, I guess, throughout music, throughout my life. And that has led me to, although I've only been playing for 6 years, that has led me to playing with famous people in the country music industry. I don't know if you can see it. There's a picture up here of Dylan Scott. That guy brought me up on a stage at an ag convention through my high school. This guy's got music on the radio, singles, My Girl, Hooked. He does a bunch of covers of a lot of pop songs. This guy was a platinum selling country artist for 2 years, and then all of a sudden I stuck on my phone like a fan, got brought up on the stage, played guitar in front of everybody that was there. My friends were there. It was super pivotal for me. I thought once I got that reaction, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and there's nobody that's going to stand in my way of doing this. So I've always had that in the back of my mind, of that moment of satisfaction from what it feels like to have a giant crowd that appreciates your music and your drive and your perspective on the way you play and how you play. So that's the basics of that, right? What all this stuff means to me. Music is not really anything that I could ever go without due to my ability to spread it to others. I'm constantly showing people new music. I'm constantly making my family listen to songs that are not on the radio, and they're like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, because this is amazing. This song is awesome. It's going to be on the radio soon. And I love forcing music on people, because I feel like if I don't, they won't have that same connection as me. And I guess that's where I have to understand that people are different than me. But it's definitely one of those things. And I absolutely love playing all different styles of music, from religious music to rock music to country music to jazz music to a mix of all of that stuff. I can play some pop. My sister is huge into piano. She's basically taught herself how to play the piano. It's amazing to see like how we can correspond sometimes between some of that stuff. But I basically started my own brand known as D Music. And what D Music is it's the way I represent myself. It's the center of all of my covers, all of my websites, all my social media, the way people look at me. And what that is that's basically just a center or a company, if you will, that I've named, and how I brand myself. So as an artist, everybody has their own signature kinds of things that they eventually hope to acquire. Well, I am innovative enough to not want to spend the funds on some of that stuff, so I make my own. And this last couple months, I built my own pedal board. It's called the D Music pedal board. What it is it has all my effects, all my guitar effects, all the things that I would use during a gig or a show, whether that be overdrive or reverb or looper pedal to record stuff, or my wah pedal for all those crazy Metallica solos. It's got all that stuff built into it. I built it out of wood on my own. I branded, I designed all the logos for it, put it on there. Super proud of it. It's very versatile. It's very mobile. I can just pick it up and take it anywhere with me. This pedal board is something I'm super proud of. And like I say, it really represents my style of music all at the switch of a foot, which is pretty awesome. For those of you who don't know what pedal board is, you turn it on and off with your foot, right? You can turn on your effects, turn on your different sounds with the kick of a foot switch, which makes it really easy to switch styles when you're playing, to go from heavy to clean sounds, right? That sort of stuff. On top of that, I love branding myself. So I love editing all my videos. This video has been edited by me that you guys are watching right now. I am one of those people that is willing to do what it takes to accomplish the goal of being a professional musician, whether that be hours upon hours of practice or having to do things my own way. And I really don't have a crazy desire to leave, but only because I live in Colorado and there's so much to offer here in Colorado. It's a beautiful state. There's just not a lot of music around here, not as much as there is in Tennessee or Texas or Florida or New York or places like that. So my goal is to put myself out there, social media, as much as possible, to get myself out there as I transition into being an adult. And I think that's really important, that I don't let that music die. A lot of people, they'll play guitar, they'll be in a band until they're out of high school or out of college, and then they just kind of give up. And I don't want to be one of those people at all. I would love to. And it is my priority to continue to play music. Music comes really high up on my list of priorities. And when it comes to what I can say to everybody else, I just want to thank everybody for all the support that they've given me, whether that be the people in my church, my friends, my parents, for letting me pursue this dream. And definitely 100% all the glory goes to Jesus Christ, because without him, I would not only not be here, but I would not be playing these instruments. I would not be given this ability to see things the way that I do. And like I say, I'm not going to waste that gift that has been given to me. So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this interview, for looking into this, listening to this podcast. If you guys have any questions or anything you'd ever like to ask me, just shoot me a comment or an email or a text, for those of you who have that kind of stuff of mine, all that info. But it's been 6 years, and I cannot imagine what it's going to be like in another 6. It's a really random number to pick, 6 years, but I've been so passionate about this lately, and I've grown so much so quickly, and I'm really excited to see what my future holds next with music. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody that has helped me along the way, and I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a good day.